Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to explain an action-adventure movie called Top Gun, and it was released in 1986. The film is about the skilled but reckless, selfish and rebellious pilot Maverick and his partner Goose, who are assigned to go to Top Gun, a military school for top-notch pilots. Soon he has an affair with the instructor Charlie and a rivalry with Iceman and Slider. When Goose dies in an accident, Maverick decides to quit school. But before we begin, beware of spoilers, watch out and take care. And I hope you enjoy the video. The film opens with a message that states that in 1969, the United States Navy established a school for their best pilots. Their purpose was to train them to be the best fighter pilots in the world. The Navy calls it Fighter Weapons School, but the flyers prefer to call it Top Gun. Then we see a military aircraft carrier USS Enterprise that is on patrol near the Persian Gulf when radar contact is made with a MiG fighter. The combat air patrol of the Enterprise is vectored to meet the incoming aircraft, and the fighters involved are F-14 Tomcat interceptors, each manned by a pilot and a radar intercept officer, Rio. The pilot of the lead plane is Flight Lieutenant Peter Maverick Mitchell, a call sign appropriate for his arrogant rule-bending attitude. His Rio is Lieutenant Nick Goose Bradshaw. The second F-14 is piloted by Bill Cougar Cortell, with Sam Merlin Wells as the Rio. The two F-14 split up and are surprised when a second MiG, shielded from radar by riding within feet of its leader, appears. Cougar is outmaneuvered by MiG-1, while Maverick locks his missile radar on MiG-2, who promptly disengages. MiG-1 stays on Cougar and is only chased off when Maverick flies upside down, closes up on the MiG, and flashes an obscene gesture to the enemy pilot. The MiG disengages and the two Tomcats fly to the Enterprise, but Cougar is so panicked that he cannot land, forcing Maverick, low on fuel and against orders, to abort his own landing and talk Cougar to the deck. Cougar sees the captain of the Enterprise, Tom Stinger Jordan, who asks him what happened to him out there. Cougar says that if the enemy had attacked him, his children would be orphans. He turns in his wings as the incident has left Cougar rattled and he feels he can't fly combat any longer. Then Stinger calls Maverick and Goose and addresses Maverick's carelessness by mentioning that Cougar almost died and that he also quit. Stinger is forced to change his intended disciplinary action against Maverick, for he must send a Tomcat tandem for additional combat training at the Navy's Fighter Weapons School in Miramar, near San Diego, California, and the captain is plainly disgusted that Maverick is the only qualified candidate for the assignment. Maverick, however, is quietly overjoyed as he regards the assignment as an opportunity for advancement. Then both of them go to the Fighter Weapons Academy, Top Gun, where all the best pilots from America are sent. Upon arrival, their instructor informs them that there will be an extremely strict practice that will last for 5 weeks, and whoever is able to get through it will reach a very high post in the military. An instructor named Mike who fought in the Vietnamese War. He tells all of them that there will be regular classes and they will have to fly twice every week. According to that flight, they will be given points, and whoever will have the most points in 5 weeks, they will be given a Top Gun trophy for their accomplishment. At a bar the night after their first day at the school, they walk through many people as Goose points out the most brilliant pilot there named Pilot, Lieutenant Tom Iceman Kazansky. Maverick later goes and has an interaction with Iceman in which Iceman clearly shows his arrogance by having a mean attitude towards Maverick. But Maverick ignores his behavior and decides not to judge Iceman too quickly. While both of them are drinking, Goose tells Maverick to flirt with a girl and he will pay him $20. It was sort of a bet. The girl is named Charlie and Maverick approaches her by singing. She does not seem to mind and starts to make a conversation with him while sitting in the bar. Maverick tells her a lot about himself while she reveals almost nothing about herself but her name. Both of them have a great conversation before she gets up and goes to the ladies' room. Maverick also goes into the ladies' room and starts to flirt with her. Charlie does not seem to mind because she thinks that Maverick is a reckless man. She comes out of there and approaches Goose. She tells him that his friend is a good man while revealing that she knew about the bet and she wanted Maverick to win. The next day, all of the pilots are in Top Gun when suddenly Charlie appears at the school, revealing herself to be a previously unseen DoD flight instructor that Maverick had assumed to be man. Both Maverick and Goose are very shocked after this is revealed because they were not expecting this. Though technically a civilian, she has mastered the flight simulator, where she has beaten several actual pilots. She begins to become smitten with Maverick before the official competition begins. After that, all of the pilots take a jet and go for their weekly test flights. In his first exercise, Maverick takes on the school's resident enemy pilot, LTC Richard Jester Heatherly, and succeeds in outmaneuvering him and shooting him down, but in so doing he flies below a set minimum engagement altitude a hard deck and then compounds this faux pas by buzzing or overflying a flight tower at absurdly low altitude just to show off. Both Maverick and Goose listen, while Jester and their commanding officer, Commander Michael Viper Metcalf, are chewed out by the tower's commanding officer. Iceman also chews out Maverick for his unsafe attitude, but Maverick refuses to have any of it even after Jester summons him to his office and threatens to expel him should he continue this way. Metcalf, however, knows Maverick because Maverick's father flew with him in Vietnam off the USS Oriskany, CVA-34, and was shot down when he engaged the enemy in neutral airspace. Maverick somewhat begins a rivalry with a fellow Tomcat pilot, Lieutenant Tom Iceman Kazansky, and his Rio, Ron Slider Kerner during all of this. The next day, we Charlie once again who is taking their class. Maverick asks her out on a date by offering to take her to dinner. She reluctantly refuses because there are other students there and she does not want to set out a bad impression of herself. She tells Maverick that she does not date her students but later tells him the details about their date by writing them down on a piece of paper and giving it to Maverick once she leaves. Maverick also understands that she wants to go on a date but refuses because of everyone else. In the evening, Maverick rides his bike and goes to Charlie's home for dinner. Later on, after the dinner, she tells Maverick that she usually does not date her students and most definitely is against inviting them over to her house for dinner. Maverick understands that things between them are serious and that she really likes him. Later on in the class, Charlie talks about different combat techniques and she mentions the trick that Maverick performed when he turned the jet upside down. But she says that this is a very dangerous technique and she does not prefer that anyone should use it. Maverick is perplexed while she starts to explain and says that in that position, the enemy will have a very good chance of attacking them before they could attack at the enemy. Iceman makes fun of Maverick and he does not like to be embarrassed like that. After the class ends, Charlie tries to approach Maverick but he goes away on his bike without saying anything. Charlie gets very worried about him as she starts to follow him while sitting in her car and finally reaches a point where Maverick stops and both of them come face to face. Maverick gets very angry and lashes out at her, but she manages to stay calm. She explains to him that she likes to keep her private life and professional life separate. She says that his technique was actually wrong and she cannot lie about that or else that would jeopardize the rest of the pilots. She further adds that it was nothing personal and she still loves him in her personal life and she cannot let that interfere with what she teaches at the school. Maverick understands all of this and calms down. Then both of them share a passionate kiss as the argument is now over. The next day, all of the pilots are preparing for the test flight as it is the second time of the week in which they will have to do a test flight. The contest between Maverick and Iceman continues. In a later exercise, Viper and Jester team up against Maverick and fellow F-14 pilot Hollywood. Maverick breaks a cardinal rule by abandoning his wingman to go after Viper and in so doing Hollywood is shot down and then the same fate befalls Maverick. But the worst is yet to come, for Maverick is teamed with Iceman and Maverick, determined to win the school contest, angrily chews out Iceman for taking too long to attack an enemy craft. Maverick takes the shot, but when the two aircraft get close, the backwash from Iceman's thrusters cripple Maverick's engines and the F-14 plunges toward the sea. Goose barely succeeds in yanking open the emergency ejection handles, but when the fighter's canopy pops open, the two pilots eject and Goose crashes into the canopy, killing him. Maverick is devastated by Goose's death, and though an inquiry clears him of wrongdoing, his confidence is destroyed. He nonetheless graduates from the class and is reassigned to the Enterprise, where an incident with enemy MiGs leads to a fateful battle involving Iceman as well as Maverick. Iceman and Hollywood are launched to intercept a pair of MiGs, but are jumped by 4 additional enemy fighters. Hollywood is shot down and Iceman hopelessly surrounded when Maverick is launched, now with Merlin as his Rio. Though delayed by malfunctioning catapults on the flight deck, Maverick still arrives at the scene of battle, but is surrounded by enemy, and when he flies into one ship's jet wash his own fighter briefly stalls out, and though he regains control he flashes back to Goose's death and breaks off, leaving Iceman, who has long doubted Maverick's courage after Goose's death, trapped as Merlin desperately and furiously yells at Maverick to get back into battle. Maverick pulls himself together and returns to assist Iceman, and they destroy 4 MiGs, prompting the remaining squadron to retreat. As a result, Maverick and Iceman finally become friends. As a reward for his heroism, Maverick is offered any assignment he chooses. He chooses to be an instructor at Top Gun. He tosses Goose's dog tags into the ocean, signifying he has come to terms with his friend's death. Here, this movie ends. To watch more explanations of these kinds of movies, click on the videos on your screen. And do not forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. Kindly like the video and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos. And at last, I will say, stay safe, stay well, thanks for watching.